I'm Jimmy Bach, and this is History with Jimmy, along with our award-winning producer, Chandler Holmes. And we want to thank the Vencloski family for coming here. For many of you that don't know them, they have a farm up in Chickashinny Valley, and it's been there for quite a while. And they're here to tell the history of the farm and a couple other things that they can throw in there and stuff. So one of the things, though, that I have, you were recognized by your son for, I have a newspaper clipping.
Quarter Valley.
Yep. And you served in Vietnam? Yeah. You served in Vietnam, and how long were you in Vietnam?
6 months and 21 days.
Okay.
I was on a destroyer. The Navy's most decorated destroyer, you know, banned a DD-450. Went over there, and when we come back, they decommissioned it.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
It was 29 years old when I got on.
Yeah. Well, your farm is the last farm in Chickashinny Valley,
Right.
and I remember coming up there with my grandfather and rabbit dogs and hunting rabbits
Right.
and squirrels, and I missed my first grouse on your property there.
And there's not many grouse there anymore.
No, there isn't. There's not the grouse that there used to be.
Too many deer,
yeah.
not no grouse.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your the history of your farm, from who owned it originally to going on.
As far back as what we can tell, the farm was originally owned by Stackhouse. It went from Stackhouse to A.I. Robbins. And A.I. Robbins was killed on the farm there in 1940. He fell off of a wagon load of loose hay and broke his neck. The horses stood on a barn hill for 2 days before a couple of the neighbors went looking for him, and they found him dead out in the field. His wife died, Gwen was her name, she died in 36, and they're both buried in Summerhill Cemetery. My grandmother and grandfather bought it from the estate down Lincoln and Catherine Rydell in 1940, and they had it. My grandfather died in 1952. He was only 48 years old, and he died of black lung already. He could not pass a physical for World War II because his breathing was so bad.
So he worked in the mines.
He worked in the mines.
Which mines did he work in?
He worked Glen Alden.
Glen Alden.
And
okay.
he used to go out on Red Rock and work in the mines out of Red Rock. He'd stay out there all week and only come home on weekends.
Oh wow!
Yeah. And from there, my grandmother sold it to my mother and dad in '60. We moved up there in Christmas of '60, and my dad passed away in '78. He had black lung and cancer got him. And Mom died in 1980. She died of colon cancer. And we got the farm in about 78 or 79. I bought the farm off of Mom. And then in 81 or 2, I signed it over to, signed everything over to the boys. My place in the sawmill, Joey has, and the farm, and my son Jimmy has. And we still got it. And the barn there now was built in 1918. The original barn burned down. And they built that back. A lot of the beams in the bottom of that barn is from the AC&F Industries in Berwick, from wooden railroad cars. They use 3 teams of horses to haul them beams from the AC&F over to the farm. Some of them beams is 24 feet long, 8x8s, one piece.
Wow.
They had 3 teams they hauled. They brought it from the AC&F, hooked the second team on to the bottom of Foundryville, took them up over to the bottom of Salt Mountain, put another team of horses on them, and took them over the mountain and down to the barn.
Wow.
And the hand-hewed beams that's in that barn, Sam Gensel hewed. That's why years ago most everybody in that valley was related. My great-grandmother was Sam Gensel's sister, or Dennis.
Yeah.
Charlie Dennis's wife. Charlie Dennis was caretaker for the Stackhouse property for years until he passed away.
Yeah. Well, we actually here at the museum were given this a number of years ago, and it says, Old-fashioned barn dance, A.I. Robbins' barn, Chickashinny Valley, Saturday, September 21st, and the benefits of the Forest Protection Association. Men 25 cents, women were free. So this is something that I'm not sure who donated this to the museum, but we're glad they are, because now you gave us a little bit of history about this particular barn and the dance and everything here with this. And of course, we also have something else that talks about the Elliots. And of course, you know about the Elliots as well as I do. They lived down, we lived up in the valley, and there, and it tells the history of some of the Elliots there, and where they were buried, and so on, and there. You have any memories of the farm, or working on the farm, or anything like that?
That's pretty much all I ever did since I was a kid.
Okay. What was some of your chores? What did you have to do?
Clean stalls, we baled hay, had to feed the animals every day.
So what, how many animals, or what kind of animals did you have besides the cows?
We used to keep 28 beef cows around there all the time, and about 50 chickens. And when Mom and Dad had it, my dad tried to raise chickens there. We had 2,500, but couldn't make you can't make a living anymore on the small farms at all.
Yeah.
So, big business is killing everything.
Yeah.
The treated beams in that barn that they bought from the ACNF was bought at a cost of 25 cents a beam.
Wow.
My great uncle Bill told me that.
Well,
He was just a kid. He just died 4 years ago. He was 92. He was a World War II vet. That would have been my grandfather's brother.
yeah. So, what was some of the other things you remember about growing up there?
We used to plant 4 acres of potatoes there. My dad used to sell potatoes at $1.25 for 50 pounds.
Wow.
That's been years ago. We still have all that equipment to do that.
Yeah.
But you
It's
just
not worth the
no,
effort to.
no. You can't get help to do it anymore either.
Yeah.
A couple of the school kids used to come and help us dig potatoes, and the price of everything is more than doubled in the last 4 or 5 years. You just can't go. And we still have the original tractor that was bought for that farm. We got a 45 John Deere Ace that's on the barn floor, runs like a top yet. We take care of it. That was, Grandpa bought that. Before that, it was horses.
Well, Mrs. Elaine Sorber was one of my mentors. She actually told me about this AI, Robbins owning that barn. She was 100 years old. She was one of my mentors, and she grew up in the valley, and her parents and grandparents and stuff. And so I thought, well, she said that, but I thought, well, you know, she's 100 years old, but come to find out, she was 100% correct. So I correct myself, Mrs. Sorber, you were correct. Like you said, just about everybody up in the valley was related or whatever.
Through the Gensels and the Robbins.
Yeah, Jess Robbinses and Pearl down the road there.
And as a matter of fact, John Dom, the old John Dom, was married to my grandfather's sister, Elsie. And they had no kids. She couldn't have children, so they adopted a couple.
Okay.
So that's how
How about
we're related to the Doms a little bit.
How about the Dodson Swamp and the Dodson farm there?
I can remember, well, you probably can too, the big barn there used to have Dodson wrote on the roof in white letters. And Jesse sold it to the gun club then, all except for the house and a couple acres there that my son has now.
Yeah.
And last time I seen Jessie, I was coon hunting with Art Gensel, and we went in. She invited us in to talk to her for a while, and it wasn't too long after that she moved out, and I never heard anything anymore about her.
Well,
But,
yeah, and there was a church and school there right close by from what I remember.
there was a little, right on the corner, but in front of the Ridge Runners Pond, was the old one-room schoolhouse for the valley. And Jessie owned that, and her husband. And she called up to my dad one time and told him to come down and clean what was left in there out of that building, because she claimed Wayne Robbins stole most everything else out of it. So we went down and cleaned it out, and it was tore down after that.
Well,
But that was the one-room schoolhouse for the valley at
yeah.
one time.
Well, we actually have a book of one-room schoolhouses from Lower Luzerne County, and it shows a picture of that. And a guy by the name of Pop Michaels was the first teacher there, and it shows him on his horse with his wife.
Pop Michaels taught me in high school out at Northwest.
And me as well. So he was around for a long time.
And his wife was an author.
Yeah, she did poems and that
Yep.
sort of thing. Yep,
Yep.
I remember. She was a substitute teacher at the school when I went to school
Right.
as well and stuff. So,
Don't be saying that too loud, Jimmy, you give our ages away.
one of the things that I think is most important is, of course, you guys made the front page of the Press Enterprise about your farm and with the data centers and everything. And you're here talking about preserving history, which obviously what we do here. You can look around and see all the history that we've been able to preserve, and it takes about an hour and a half to do a tour. And we've had a lot of people. We've had people from 20 different states come here for tours. And so we appreciate the effort and the fact that you guys are standing up for preserving history, preserving your family's history and the farm, and doing things that, you know, sometimes money makes a difference, but
No,
for some people,
money's not everything.
yes, that's correct. Money is not everything and stuff, and so I know a lot of people.
These guys is the fourth generation there.
Yeah,
Their kids is the fifth,
yeah,
so.
but,
and,
but it takes a lot to stand up to that, you know. with the
We
amount of
are
money
in the
that's been-
process right now trying to get a hold of somebody to enroll that in farmland preservation.
Mm.
That way it can never be touched for anything like
Yes,
this.
yeah,
Because you have to worry about our politicians, they're all for this, because they're gonna get their hands loaded. You know,
Well.
it's us that have to work for a living is gonna end up paying for this, and they're gonna be the millionaires. in the
Yeah.
end.
well, I know that a lot of people have been offered a lot of money for their properties and
Mhm.
stuff, and.
And a lot of them people haven't even been paid yet, they've been offered, and it's there, but they haven't been
Oh,
paid.
wow, wow, so do you have any other stories to tell about going way back, when you first got the farm and?
Well, when I was a kid, we went fishing with my uncles out on Red Rock Mountain one time and come home, and Grandma was up in New York visiting, which is where they all moved at the end. And we had a bunch of catfish and had one of them clawfoot bathtubs in the bathroom. And we had that sucker full of catfish. When Grandma come home, she blowed her stack. She was gonna kill all of us kids. Yeah.
Well, and you have a creek that goes through there,
It
there's
goes
some
through
trout.
there.
and-
We used to catch native trout in there, and since they put the Girl Scout Lake in, there's no more trout in there. It got the water too warm and they can't survive that. You have to go below the trailer court fields before there's enough of tributaries running into it to make it cold enough for the trout to live again.
Well,
And there was just some felt people there in the summer testing that water, and I told him that, and the guy took a test and he said, yeah, you're right, you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
This water is too warm for trout.
right, yeah.
And when they was putting the pipes that's in there now, they netted catfish, bluegills, and pickerel out of the water there where they had it dammed off, because they didn't dare to cover them, bury the fish in the water,
Yeah,
and they told us that's what they netted out.
wow, wow. I know when we lived up in the valley, the property we had an artesian well onto it. And when we first moved in there, the water was about this high, but over the years.
Well, the
and,
casing is getting bad.
And,
They drilled that, Stackhouse drilled that for coal, to see
Yes.
if there was coal.
yep,
They have the mineral rights clear to our border of our farm. We have the mineral rights to the farm.
okay.
They only went to the Columbia, that's the Columbia County, Luzerne County line.
I remember
border of the farm.
my dad saying that we had the mineral rights for that property and they were trying to buy them and stuff. And we have a map of the coal vein starting all the way up in Scranton, coming all the way down to Mackinac, going underneath the river and then going right up the valley there and stuff. Byron Sigford, when I was up and talked to him, said that they were the last ones in the number 4 hollow to do mine for coal there. It was up behind Shoemaker's, someplace in that general area and stuff. So like I said, the valley was very important for not only farms, for mining and that sort of thing. And I remember Mrs. Sorber telling me that the road goes to Jess's was called the new road, but the original road was the
The old
sawmill
road.
road.
Yep.
And that was the real road there, and then they made that other road there and
Right.
stuff.
They always called one the old road and the new road, now they named them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, was there any other, you mentioned your grandparents and stuff.
Your brother's place was one of the original Rido homesteads.
That's what Mrs. Sorber told me, because
Oh,
that was her
wow.
mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep, that's what Mrs. Sorber told me, that was her mother, and said that her mother's sister was there, and she had issues with her legs, she was in a wheelchair, and there was a wooden sidewalk going to
Right.
the outhouse
Mhm.
there, and then she said there was something down over the bank, an ice house or something, she told me, and then her
Used to be an old barn there was an old barn wall there.
the grandparents were the Elliots, and she remembered going up to the Elliots. They had a spring alongside the house there, and I remember going, my grandparents sitting on the porch there with the Elliots, and going up there with jugs and getting spring water. And
When my grandmother had the farm, we used to ride our bikes from, when we lived down on the hill here in Shikshinny, up there, and we used to stop at the old horse trough and get a drink on the way up. The water is still running down that ditch, but the trough isn't there anymore.
well, we have a book that was just given to us. It's a reprint from the 1880s, and Luzerne County, Wyoming County, and another county is in there, but it talks about Salem Township, which is, you know, up in the valley there, and then Briar Creek Township and
ours is
stuff.
Briar Creek.
And there, but it told a lot of the stories about back in the 1700s, who were the first ones there. The Copes are mentioned as being one of the first settlers, along with 4 other families there.
That would be Jess and Pearl's.
Jess and Pearl's place,
brother.
yes.
Pearl's
Yep.
brother.
Yeah, and then I think there was a Frank Robbins mentioned in some stuff that served in World War I. But I don't know if that was Jess's brother or, I just know it was Frank Robbins.
I don't know, Jess used to come by the farm and he'd stop and talk to my dad, and the first thing he'd have to tell him is, turn your hearing aid up, Jess. He'd have it turned down, he always said he turned it down to save the battery.
Well, he was quite a character. I remember
Yeah.
him because we used to go there, and Pearl always made big pans of rice pudding, and you stop there, and every time you'd have to sit down and have some rice pudding, and we look forward to that. And he had a fishing hole in the back behind the barn, and he used to let us go fishing down there behind the
But
barn.
not on Sunday.
Not on Sunday.
No, I had stopped one time and he told me, you can fish anytime you want, son, but not on Sunday.
Not on Sunday, yep. Well, like I said, there's an awful lot of history there. The sawmill that the Sigfridses had, and Byron told me that his grandfather did the mining up there, and then they timbered up there and sold all the timber to the mining companies for the
Props.
supports and the props and all that stuff. Yeah, so, is there anything else then you'd like to add about the history of your farm, or
No, there's
anything?
a lot of hard work.
Well, being a farmer was hard work regardless, but probably even more so back then, because you didn't have, you know, basically they had horses and plows to do it. They didn't have tractors going back, and so it was a lot harder to do that. You mentioned about A.I. Robbins dying up there, and they had the horses and stuff, and so I was also told that up on Stackhouse Mountain, Bill Siegfried told me this story, that they came to a tree where there was a rope hanging, and some guy hung himself, and they called it Hangman Swamp, someplace up there. I don't know if you heard that story or not, but so like I said, there's a lot of history up in the valley, and but we're glad that you guys are preserving history and stuff, and we appreciate that. And a number of people have told me that as well. I told them you were coming on to do a YouTube episode on there, and they said, tell them we thank them for standing up and helping to preserve history, and that's what you guys are doing and stuff. So, okay?
Thank
All
you.
right. Okay, well, we want to thank the Vencloski family for coming today and helping to preserve history, which is exactly what we do here. And so on behalf of Joe and Don and myself and our award-winning producer, Chandler Holmes, this will be on the internet sometime this afternoon. We thank you for coming. And if you'd like to come for a tour, my cell phone number is 570-905-7519. We also have close to 18,000 people have seen our YouTube episodes that we have, and we ask you to click the like and subscribe and help get more people to come and see history, and also to see Cheryl's library. It's a free library for children. They can take out books for free, and they have some other activities that they do as well. So thank you all for watching.